Yeah, welcome back. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. It is time for newspaper review. Stay with us.
Right, welcome back to Good Morning Nigeria, and Chukwudi Kolubaja is well seated, looking ready and trim.
I am always ready, always ready.
Boy Scout.
Victor, how are you doing?
I'm well.
Demo.
I'm well.
Good morning.
There seems to be, it's like the Harmattan has returned. Did you feel anything like that?
No, the Harmattan, it depends on what aspect of the Harmattan you're talking about.
The weather is a bit
The whiff,
Hazy.
the whiff of
the
cold,
haziness of
the
the
whiff
weather.
of cold, I said 3 days ago, would not last more than 3 days. That lasted just some 24, 26 hours. What is there is the haziness. But if you look carefully, it's more of the dew almost developing into a fog. That's it.
But that's unusual at this time of the year, actually.
Well, maybe he's trying to make way for the raining to come.
I
The
pray.
rains,
I think we're all anticipating.
the raining season.
All right, let's get to it, and we begin with the leadership papers here. And just above the nameplate, troops rescue 32 kidnapped victims in Kaduna, Katsina. Something to cheer. And then Adora Umoji, appointed Zenith Bank GMD CEO, page 21. That should delight the women folk. And under the masthead, FARC allocation increased by 23.56% in 1 year. That's according to NTA. As FG states, LGs shared 10.143 trillion naira in 2023. That story can be found on page 2. And then impeachment. Edo Assembly tightens news on Shaibu. That's on page 7 if you want to know about that. And then the main story here is killing of 17 soldiers. Panic in Bayelsa as troops launch manhunt for killers. That story can be found on page 4. And it has 4 riders. Diri, Silva, trade words over killings. There will be no further attacks, Delta governor. Killers may be mercenaries, says Senate. And Delta lawmakers beg military. That story is on page 4 again. And then by the side you have peace will return to Southeast once I am released. That's according to Nnamdi Kanu, page 18. CNG, FG targets 70% fuel cost reduction. That's on page 20. Reps move to grant widows 5 months leave. That's on page 7. That's an interesting one. Bengalade, 3 orders confirmed as AMCON MD executive directors. That's on page 19. And then we move over to the new Telegraph. The major story here says, Okwama, 17 officers, soldiers, killers, maybe mercenaries, says Akpabio. Senate probes killing, rejects minute silence for civilian casualties for now. Then Tinubu, Oborewori hold closed door meeting. Killing an assault on security, stability of Niger Delta. That's according to Lawan. And that story can be found on pages 3 and 5. And just above that story, you have Tinubu 6 reps approval for judicial officers' new salaries. With the rider PSC, Force Headquarters relationship now stable. That's according to the chairman of the PSC, Arase. The story is on pages 2 and 6. Federal states LGs shared 10.143 trillion naira in 2023. That's according to NTA, which is we read earlier. Again, court refuses Kanu bail in terrorism charges. With the rider, IPOB leader distances self from violence in Southeast. That's on page 4. A number of other stories. Well, Ways and Means, Senate insists on total loan recovery, frowns at approvals by former CBN governor. NAS extends 2023 budget from March 31, 2024 to June 30. Engages FG on solution to food crisis. Passes 446 billion naira FIRS 2024 budget. Constitution review, reps unveil consultants, reaffirms 2025 completion date. That story is on 4 and 6, pages 4 and 6. Pass bill to give widows 5 months leave. Summon health minister, over $300 million mosquito net funds. I think we'll leave it there.
Okay. I have the Nigerian Pilot newspaper with me. I will start below the nameplate. Governor Diri condemns Silva statement on slain soldiers. That story can be found on page 9. Edo Assembly directs CJ to set up 7-man panel to investigate deputy governor. That story can be found on page 7. And the main headline is Ministers Panic, as Tinubu is said to have commenced plans to reshuffle cabinet ahead of May 29. Set to flag off 3-step approach to assess ministers, heads of MDAs. He would launch platform to enable Nigerians assess performance of ministers. The president had asked them to perform or be sacked while swearing them in. That main story can be found on page 4. Okwama killings, situation under control. Governor Oborevwori tells Tinubu. That's the story can be found on page 5. Army rescues women, children after 46 days in Katsina terrorist den. Senate probes killing of military personnel in Delta State. Nnamdi Kanu speaks out, says, count me out of violence in Southeast. Constitutional amendment not solutions to Nigeria's problem. And CBN slashes custom FX duty rate. I think we'll stop there. Chooks.
Quite a lot to talk about. Really.
Yes, quite a lot.
But before then,
Yes, please.
I just want some clarifications on the true spelling of the governor of Delta State. You know, some will spell it OBOROV OWORI.
I know it's quite a lot for non-initiates.
Yes. So what?
Oborevwori.
Oborevwori.
The VW is pronounced, you know.
Okay.
So
the W is silent, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
OBORE. The V is what seems silent.
OBORE. But most
in fact,
people
here,
yes,
here it is OBORVW. In fact, there's no O, there's no E.
And here, instead of E, they put O.
That's an E.
Aha. So I think,
That's
and
an
I've
E.
seen this in many publications.
Demola knows
there
that.
should be a clarification on
Demola
that.
knows that very soon you guys will kick me out respectfully.
Okay.
Yet it's taking my time on nomenclatural confusion.
Yes. But
Actually, the VB, I read linguistics, so I can talk about this.
Okay.
The VB is a problem for people who do not know the Delta
VW.
axis. VW. You know, when a Benin man says you are umeme, you don't want to know, you know, okay, VB is not even there. But the point is, the VB is a problem for people who are not from that axis. But in pronouncing it, you just glide over it.
The W.
When the natives call it, it's not this complicated affair you hear on the lips of. It's not every letter that gets pronounced in some of the African names. Benue names are a very good example.
Even the spelling.
Yes.
You know,
But it's a good thing you're pointing it out.
the spelling.
I just talked to
Misspelled.
one of our goodie oldies in broadcasting. And I remember their time when it mattered how you pronounced a man's name. Here in Nigeria, here in Africa, we are so good at Mikhail Gorbachev. But to pronounce native names, we fail woefully. That's not how to go. Broadcasting is a tidy affair. So I like the attention you're giving to that. Thank you. Soldiers killing. No one left in community, says governor. That is to be expected. I told you how we ran into the bush when Mopo 30 came to question the alleged killing of 2 policemen when I was in Nowhere way back in my Delta Broadcasting Service times. Alaja, you know. So it is to be expected. When you take down 17 soldiers, you don't wait for the elephant to come around to say, why did the antelope kick, you know, disrespectfully. But the good thing is that there's a story here. Delta killings, 3 suspects nabbed, moved to army headquarters in Asaba. Moved to army headquarters in Asaba. Some people are giving the impression that they are smashing everything, you know, in their way. That is a misrepresentation. There could be a tendency for expressing rage the way it should not. But the rules of engagement, even when they're dealing with a CV situation, is very important. That's what we have been appealing to our soldiers to do, so that you don't, at the end of the day, engage overreaction. And I'm sure that so far, they seem to have reined that in. Governor Deary is condemning Silva's comments on this is something we should avoid. What I advise, what I suggest when we meet a situation like this is the way you sheathe the sword, also sheathe the tongue. Be careful what you say in this kind of situation. Sometimes it's not the action that happens that causes problem, but the reaction to the action. So we're doing well so far about it. Quickly, Nnamdi Kanu, we hardly talk about him. In the Nigerian press entirely, we seem to remember him only when there's a court appearance and all that. And he's saying here that if he's released,
there'll be peace in
peace will come.
Southeast.
I am happy he's now talking like this. You know, the Nnamdi Kanu matter, it's become a political matter, really. Somebody said, why would he behave as if he's waging war on everybody, including the elders of the Southeast? How does he think he will succeed? So, if he's beginning to talk like this, let us not shun dialogue in resolving our problems. He's a young man. We need his productive, you know, energy, you know, in making this country great. But he has to do that within the ambit of the law and all that. So I am happy he's talking like this. It means that one day we can all be on the same page and we move forward.
And on the same table.
That's the way I look at it. Bravo to the Nigerian woman. Adora Umoji is new Zenith GMD. That's a good one. Claire would have...
I think that's the first.
You will pay for that, I think so.
Claire, no, that's not an advert. When the news outweighs the commercial interest, the journalist must make that point. I'm making a point for the Nigerian woman. And Claire would have...
But she's not the first person to be...
for Zenith, I think is the first.
At least we have the first bank. We have other banks
Zenith.
as well.
Let's not engage in the LTP aspect of it. You are the one. But I am really happy for the Nigerian woman. I keep on saying that women and children are underreported in Nigeria.
And another thing that we should talk about, women, reps move to grant widows 5 months leave.
When you mention widows, and I cast them in some African strange beliefs, I wince with pain. I am happy something is being suggested for widows and all that, because what the Nigerian widow goes through in some cultures, you don't want to think about it. When the man dies, all those relatives who were shouting the glories of madam and all that become something else. So if I hear anything that is thrown by the way or in the way of the widow, I'm always a very happy person.
The ministers panicked.
The ministers what?
Ministers panicked. Tinubu is set to commence plans to reshuffle cabinet.
Fine. Ashiwaji knows when to do certain things. He's the one in the sun.
But this looks a bit unclear at the moment, I'm sure.
But I would say let's study it a bit so that there's some stability.
You know that when we call you once, twice, 3 times, we are asking you to save for tomorrow.
Yes. We need some stability in this.
Just save the rest for tomorrow.
There they go again.
All right, we draw the curtain here. We take a break. Good morning.